Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. I love all things art, and in particular, I love when art surprises me, whether it be a really good movie or a piece of music that all of a sudden, boom, changes direction. As a young man, I fell in love with Impressionist painters, in particular Monet. The difference is that they now surprise you in reverse. When you look at the actual painting, you think, wow, what a beautiful landscape. Look at these colors that are just so vibrant. It's not until you come up close. And let's take Monet's Monte Carlo, where it's a gorgeous scene of a landscape and the seaside. But it's not until you come up close to that that you see these crazy brush strokes. You think, how in the world does this? And then when you pull back, become this. The same with perfumery. I love it when it surprises me. I look at notes and I'm like, oh yeah, bop, bop, bop. I get it. Boom, I spray. And then what in the world is going on? Notes, what I'm detecting, two different things. Two fragrances that are glorious when it comes to that level of surprise are these two beauties here. The one that completely sideswiped me and took me by absolute surprise is this glorious fragrance here, Red by SORA DORA. When I first experienced it, I genuinely thought this was a gourmand expression. It wasn't until I looked at the notes that I'm like, wait a second, am I looking at the right things? Because my experience of it and the notes are two different things. For starters, on opening, this fragrance has listed as notes bergamot, a mandarin, pink pepper, and cardamom. I love mandarin in a fragrance, and I love the brightness that pink pepper, you know, that sparkling sort of fruity tones that it has. All those notes are now vibrant. The cardamom, I thought to myself, would be a little bit green. What I'm experiencing here is something completely different. It's almost gourmand. So imagine yourself in Paris, walking in the Montmartre district. The air is cool, it's a chilly day, your jacket is up, and in the distance, you can see a group of people sort of milling around a particular retail outlet. The smell then betrays where these people are. And it's a beautiful boulangerie. You can smell that vanilla, that pastry. Think of a pie with that beautiful crust where it has a balance between that buttery, sort of cake-like quality with a slight vanilla touch to it. It's warm, it's comforting, it's alluring. There's a sensuality in that smell. This is what I get on opening. I get this gorgeous French pastry, this cake-like quality to it, a slight buttery effect. All those notes that I saw before of the mandarin, the bergamot, the pink pepper, where are they? Instead, that cardamom is now providing this beautiful spicy warmth. There is an ambery touch on that opening to this particular fragrance. I feel that the evolution on Red is spectacular. The fragrance is gorgeous as I have these very clear parameters as it dries down on opening. I get this warm, spicy, gourmand touch to the fragrance. There's a sweetness in there, but it's very subdued. There's no vanillas popping forward or any sort of burnt sugars or anything of that nature. Then as the fragrance migrates, it does this wonderful turn in a slightly different direction. The gourmand levels start to ease off, or that pastry-like quality to it begins to ease off. And now I begin to get a powdery skin-like quality to it. There are hazelnut notes in there. There is a musk in there. I don't detect the hazelnut as pronounced, but I do get this wonderful nutty creaminess, but a skin-like element to it. Finally, when it dries down, it goes to this wonderful earthy, warm woods. There is something so comforting all the way through. The interesting point is that on that dry down, and I'm saying now maybe an hour or so down the road, that sweetness that I experienced in the beginning comes right back. And I think back to that boulangerie example where I've come up to the store now, I've looked inside, I've already had 4 pain au chocolat, and I'm like, that's enough for today. Walk on through only to be teased by that sweet gourmand smell again, to do a U-turn and go, you know what, what's one more gonna do for me? It's no big deal. It brings back this slight gourmand warmth, sensuality on that dry down, but blended now in with this beautiful musky, woody tones to it. I discovered this fragrance in the JOVOY boutique last year. Now, interestingly, this was a JOVOY exclusive. You could only buy it from the JOVOY boutique. It's now being released worldwide, so you can jump on the SORA DORA website and check it out. You can also go across other retailers. I believe it's going to be now available across the world. It's one of those fragrances that works really, really well over that spring and mild autumn. It was in between that season there when I purchased this fragrance when I was in Paris, hence why the memories of walking through Paris, I smell this, and for me, it transports me back to this beautiful landscape. I find that over that weather period, the fragrance performs best. It actually sings better on my skin. I get 10 plus hours, but in fact, it's 24. I'll wake up in the morning and I can detect this beautiful woody gourmand, slight vanilla touch to the fragrance on my skin. And then when it comes to its sillage and projection, I'm getting a beautiful, confident, moderate. All those who are around me are definitely detecting this fragrance. Another fragrance that I absolutely love wearing over that spring or mild autumn day is this gorgeous baby here. Now, when I first came across it, I was pronouncing it YLOP. Bear with me. It's actually YLOP, but I had no idea of its backstory. The word itself is in reverse. It's actually poly is the word, and the full word is polyamorous. So polyamorous is, to be in love with more than one person at a time. So I had a chance to meet with Quentin, who is the owner of SORA DORA, and he explained to me its creation and the motivation for the creation. And I'm telling you, it now grabs, that is gorgeous. If you want, okay, so polyamorous is its inspiration. If you want something that is just grabs you with this instant, like, I love you feel, then you need to experience YLOP. It is something that is quite spectacular. And I'm going to say that over that spring into that cooler autumn weather, baby, this is gorgeous. This fragrance too provides a surprise, but that surprise comes at the end, similar to a Monet. You do things in reverse. On opening, it very much matches the notes that you see. You get this beautiful jammy apricot. It's not over the top, so don't think anything overtly fruity or sugary and sweet. In fact, it does have this pared back. There is a musky tone to it, but in fact, it's tea. And when you identify that there's a tea note in there, it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like a chamomile, so a slightly floral, but a tea-like quality and earthiness to it. As it then migrates, it does go to this beautiful, creamy, floral place. You're getting a very gentle osmanthus, still tinged with that apricot touch. But then the magic is in that dry down. You're getting now a very musky, skin-like quality. There are still a little bit of that apricot jamminess, but I'll go one more. It's different on different skins. On me, I get a very, not necessarily animalic, but there is definitely a more of a musky tone that comes forward. Whereas on Sandra, my wife, she gets this beautiful, almost like I can eat that skin, smell-like quality to it. There's something very sensual and delicate about it. I love the story of its creation. For those who may have missed this episode, I had an opportunity to interview Quentin from SORA DORA while we were in Cannes. I found out that whilst this fragrance was in its creation phase, that Quentin was dating a young lady by the name of Polly. He mentioned in that video that Polly had marked him in an olfactory sense. She was actually testing the fragrance, all the different iterations as they were being created. Polly was wearing it. And he said that he could smell her everywhere. And he almost felt infatuated by two things. One, the physicality of her and falling in love with this woman, but also the smell, falling in love with this scent, with this feeling that was in the air, which was eventually going to become YLOP. He mentioned that the missing touch to the fragrance was that he wanted to create a skin-like musk touch to the very end, to the dry down. And this is something that him and the girls from Flair, very talented perfumers, and in particular Margot, were able to create this skin, musky, feminine touch to the fragrance. Now, you may think to yourself, well, sounds like it's a very female-leaning fragrance. Apricot, fruity, jammy, then this feminine skin, musky tone on the end. The wonderful thing about this fragrance is that it does have a beautiful balance between a man's skin and a female skin. This is Sandra's favorite fragrance, and I'll go one more. She actually thinks it's called Sandra. She wears this, and I'm like, babe, you smell amazing. What are you wearing? She's like, I'm wearing Sandra. I'm like, what does that even mean? Not realizing that SORA DORA She sort of just glanced at it. SORA DORA. She reinterpreted it as Sandra. So this has become almost like her signature scent. The sillage is glorious. When it dries down, I get a bit of that beautiful apricot floral touch along with her beautiful skin-like quality. On me though, and maybe it's my masculine boom, but I get more of a musky undertone to the point that Sandra doesn't recognize the fragrance. The other day, I'm wearing it in preparation for today. What are you wearing? It smells very animalic, a bit intense. And I'm like, it's the one that you love. She's like, because obviously we have a few in our collection. It's Sandra, the one that you call Sandra. And she's like, no, it's not possible. So on me, it goes a bit more musky animalic with a bit more grunt to it, whereas on Sandra, it remains with this wonderful fruity floral touch. Now, with a bit more of a musky element, that skin-like quality. YLOP has great presence when it comes to both sillage and projection, getting a very comfortable moderate. When Sandra's wearing it, I am detecting it. When I'm wearing it, she also picks up on it. And when it comes to its longevity, you're getting 8+ hours without any problems at all. Still in that fruitiness. After the 8 hours, it does go a little bit more into that musky, skin-like quality to the actual fragrance. I love that in the end, YLOP is a polyamorous relationship between the perfumer, the creation of Quentin and his memory of this love in his life. And then it's about me experiencing alongside my lover and smelling her and smelling me. It is a glorious polyamorous relationship that I would recommend you try out over this beautiful spring and autumn sort of season. Boom! 2 beautiful fragrances from SORA DORA that I would recommend. Northern Hemisphere, as you're going into your spring, fantastic. Here within the Southern Hemisphere, I know because I'm wearing them right now and they are glorious. SORA DORA is a brand that I fell in love with years ago. Actually, here's a photo of Quentin and Margot, the perfumer for both of these fragrances. We met them when we were in Grasse for one of our fragrance tours. I love the passion of Quentin and the way that he sees perfumery and the way that he injects it with his emotion and passion for the beautiful smells, something that I connect with so easily with him. Again, if you've missed this particular episode, had a chance to interview him and we shared some time and backstories on the fragrances. I'd recommend it to you. In the coming weeks, I will be doing a SORA DORA Discovery series. If you'd like to follow me, my recommendation is jump on the SORA DORA website, use the code NFC10 to get a 10% discount. And I would recommend that you purchase the 11 set series. I will be covering across the entire range of SORA DORA. Each one of these fragrances are absolutely divine and unique. The black collection is something for everybody, and the new white collection is shaping up to be something quite unique and beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to your thoughts on these particular fragrances if you have experienced them, and we'll see you guys all on the next episode.